knocked him the fuck out, and they stopped the fight. I mean that as a compliment. I mean that as something to be impressed by. Those were the most ridiculous hammer fists to be able to knock somebody out with. Great job for Hector Sandoval there. A good win, man. He'll be exciting to see. Obviously, he's got some power. But Matt Schnell, too, he looked fucking good there. Interesting to see where all of that goes from here. All right, the bonus awards. Fight of the night, as I already said, Cub Swanson versus Artem Lobov. You both get $50,000. Let's see. I generally agree with that. Yeah, I mean, it was really one of the only close decisions. I guess you could say Stevie Ray versus Joe Lozon might have been the fight of the night. But I'll go ahead and take that. Cub Swanson, Artem Lobov. Don't mind that at all. Maybe it's Artem Lobov. I can't really figure it out. Performance of the night, Mike Perry for the elbow knockout on Ellenberger. And Brandon Moreno, I guess I didn't say it, on the technical submission, rear naked choke, putting him to sleep, Dustin Ortiz. I do actually think that Al Iaquinta should be there instead of Brandon Moreno, but it's not up to me. And according to Al Iaquinta, fuck UFC, go fuck yourself, Dana White, all that shit. All right, that's going to be the end of the UFC portion of the breakdown. Like I said, we have a couple of weeks off. May 13th is going to be the next UFC bout. UFC 211, Stipe Miocic versus Junior Dos Santos, number 2. Dos Santos won the first time from American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. I expect that to be a pretty fat crowd. Co-main event, we have Joanna Jędrzejczyk putting her belt on the line against Jessica Andrade. Other fights include Damian Maia, Jorge Masvidal. I like that one a lot. Frankie Yair Rodriguez, we talked about that a minute ago. And Henry Cejudo, Sergio Pettis, we talked about that a minute ago. This is going to be a killer card. I like it. Alrighty. That's not all we have to talk about, though. We have some Bellator news. We had a Bellator event here, Bellator 178. Where are we at here, motherfuckers? We had, from the Mohegan Sun, a featherweight championship bout between Daniel Straus, previous champion, and Patricio Pitbull, number 4, the 4th time they fought. Pitbull winning 2 of them, Straus winning most recently to take the belt. This one coming live from the Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. Don't know how to fucking pronounce that. 9,000 people in attendance, 721,000 total gate. Only slightly less than the UFC event in Nashville that we just talked about. Pretty impressive performance there, actually. Pretty impressive turnout, I think, for them, especially considering there really wasn't a ton of name power on this card at all. Some up-and-comers, AJ McKee, Ryan Quinn, I guess, is Sayed Awad. But its co-main event is a women's flyweight event between 2 people that don't even have Wikipedia pages. The featherweight event, obviously, is a good one. It's something that's happened 4 times. Both people have been champion. That's a big one. But to draw anything close to UFC numbers is pretty damn good, I think, at this point for Bellator. This is a pretty good news here for Bellator, I think. All right, let's get into it. As I said, the main evening featherweight championship belt on the line. Daniel Straus, Patricio Pitbull. Pitbull wins with a guillotine choke in the second round, 37 seconds into it. He probably won the first round too. He looked very good. Straus looked good too. He looked like Straus might be going for a KO a little bit. Pitbull low, using more of an old school traditional MMA type approach, possibly like a wrestling, boxing type of an MMA approach. Looked really fucking... Actually, he's throwing some kicks too, but looked really, really good. He was clearly the heavier puncher of the two. And then Daniel Straus basically just got caught up. Pitbull wins the first round for sure. Daniel Straus basically just gets caught up in a guillotine attempt. He goes for a little transitory takedown. And then gets caught up in a guillotine and gets submitted pretty fucking easily, pretty quick. Honestly, one of the quickest guillotines. One of the quickest guillotines that you will see. Obviously, Patricio, one of the Pitbull brothers, they teach jiu-jitsu, but incredibly fast. Great performance for Pitbull there. He gets his championship belt back, and he is now 3-1 against Daniel Strauss. Although he was like 3 inches shorter, quite a bit less on the reach advantage. Strauss really just wasn't fast enough to keep his distance and stay away as much as he needed to be. Pitbull really able to apply the pressure and then eventually reverse the takedown for a sick guillotine. All right, we're only going to do the main card here. What the fuck? They have a post-liminary card. They have a card here that happens after the main card, and they're called dark belts. You can't even see them, which is fucking weird. Definitely not going to talk about those. Nor am I going to talk about the preliminary card, just because there's really nothing to talk about on it. I didn't watch any of these fights. Don't even know who any of these people are other than Ed Ruth. That's the only person I've even heard of here. So I'm not going to talk about them. There's, some interesting things. We have a Darce. It's interesting there at 195 pounds, so that's good. A featherweight submission rear naked choke, pretty good. Anyway. So the co-main event of the evening here at Bellator 178, women's flyweight division, we have Ilima Lee McFarlane. She defeated Jessica Middleton by armbar in the first round. Looked fucking fantastic. Much smaller than Jessica Middleton. She looked way better and kind of had her hurt. Was doing a little, trying to go for a takedown essentially. Transitioned to that. They kind of, they rolled a second. Middleton basically tried to reverse the position. She did. Got it reversed back. And then Ilima Lee, is that her name? Yeah, Ilima Lee McFarlane went for a good armbar, just transitioned into a pretty solid armbar, but it took her probably like 30 or 45 seconds to finish the fight. Never really had a lock, was trying to tuck into the wrong side of her body, the one closer to her opponent's head, and then she tried to straighten it out. Wasn't really able to get the hip pressure up high enough in order to really create that fulcrum point, in order to pop the elbow or get the submission there. And so she kind of had trouble. It looked like Middleton might be able to get out of it. Ended up transitioning to the right side of her body. Got a pretty instantaneous tap on that one. Good win there for Ilima Lee McFarlane. As I kind of noted towards about 5 minutes ago, she doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, so it's pretty difficult to tell what would be next for her. Obviously, the Bellator women's divisions aren't super stacked. They have a lot of newcomers, very recent pros, 2-0, 3-0, 5-0, and things like that. So, and she's no different. I think that her record was like 2-0 or 3-0 or something like that going into the fight. So it's really difficult for me to tell or predict what we would expect or could expect from her next, but definitely an impressive performance from Ilima Lee McFarlane. All right. Catchweight fight, 165 pounds. And I believe, let me make sure I get this right. It's not telling me why, but I think that Ryan Quinn didn't make weight. We had Syed Awad defeating Ryan Quinn with a unanimous decision, all three, 30-27. This was a 165-pound catchweight fight. I think that I liked it at 29-28 for Syed Awad, but he definitely got the win. Quinn just wasn't able to do much on the ground. Obviously, he's a very, very good grappler. Wasn't able to really submit it or, be dominant, I guess. He wasn't really able to dominate in any way, Syed Awad. And even actually as a 29-28, that might be favorable for him as well. As you could tell, the only judges had it 30-27. And so maybe I'm just being a little bit favorable toward Ryan Quinn. It was a pretty close fight, too. Pretty similar maybe to like that Cub Swanson, Artem Lobov fight, where all of the rounds were pretty close, but one person, pretty clearly won. That might be more accurate than a 29-28. It might be a 30-27 that's actually pretty close. But all in all, good performance there for Syed Awad. Definitely the favorite going in. Ryan Quinn, a very high-rated grappler, but just not enough MMA experience, not enough of a tool set, not enough that he could really put together in order to get a win here. Good victory there for Syed Awad. Again, you guys can go to, if anybody doesn't know this or does know this, you can go to Bellator.com or to Spike.com /events or TV shows, and then go to Bellator. And you can actually watch any of these fights, full fights, for free. Nice and easy with no hassle at all, at any time you want. All right, and then the last fight we're going to even talk about on this program today is a featherweight bout. AJ McKee defeats Dominic Mazzata with a head kick in the first round, 1 minute and 15 seconds into the fight. Fantastic performance for AJ McKee. Looks extremely fucking athletic. Threw his legs a few times. Looked very, very dexterous. Extremely sketchy. Not somebody that you want to fuck with at all. Dangerous. Just extremely dangerous. And gets the win here. Very impressive. Probably the most impressive performance for anybody on the card, at least that I saw. The main card for sure. What's next for AJ McKee? I don't know, but we should get him back on the a main card. Get him on TV. Obviously, we have a possible star in the making there at 135 or 145, isn't it? Yeah, what featherweight? 145 for in Bellator. All right, let's see here. That's going to take us to the end of the recaps here. Is there any real news I want to talk about? Yeah, I guess there is. Kind of already alluded to it before. Chris Cyborg has put out a tweet or some odd shit like that saying that she claims that she is fighting July 29th for the UFC. Everybody kind of assumed it would be against Germaine de Randamie for the women's featherweight championship strap. Germaine de Randamie, as I kind of alluded to a minute ago, is unbeknownst as to where she is or what she's doing or anything like that. Has been off of Twitter, I think, for 7 weeks. Apparently people are having trouble getting, people as in like her bosses and things like that are having trouble getting a hold of her. Or at the very least, the media is having trouble getting a hold of her, and or anybody affiliated with the game other than the people she's close with. Hopefully she's okay, honestly. I know that she doesn't want to fight, or she was not very interested in the idea of fighting Cyborg. But I hope that she's okay. I hope that, it's not something bigger than that. Certainly unfortunate there. If she's not going to be back around, we have to get Cyborg fighting for the belt. Pretty damn soon. On July 29th, I think that's... how long ago? What's that, like 4 months? No, it's 5 months. 5 months removed from the Holly Holm de Randamie fight. I think that that's more than enough time. If you can't even get a hold of somebody and stuff by then we need to figure out what's going on. If that's enough time for Cyborg, then Jesus, that's got to be enough time for de Randamie. And it's still pretty unclear whether or not she's having surgery or has had surgery on her hand. Whether or not that's actually something that needed to happen. I guess it is, and that's pretty clear, but it's not even 100% of a guarantee as far as like the UFC seems to be concerned. So there's a little bit of a sketchiness up in the air regarding all of that. Unfortunate circumstances for everybody involved there. And keeping the 145 strap in limbo. Let's see. Some of the fighters are criticizing Ally Kenta for being upset. Mike Perry, for one, he says you need to fix your priorities. A little bit, Big Brown has said to some extent that obviously you don't want to bite the hand that feeds. I think that Sonnen said the same thing as well. You don't want to bite the hand that feeds. Bisping again said, don't talk too much shit to them, otherwise you won't be fighting for them, and something like that. That actually might be the best thing for Iakenta. He's kind of making himself a name, knocking people out. He could probably make more money in Bellator than he does in UFC, and that actually might be a better idea for him in the long run here. What else do we have? As far as news is concerned, I generally always turn to the always trustworthy MMAfighting.com. Just give them a shout out of no affiliation and anything like that. I hope they're not too mad at me for calling them out, but they do a fantastic job. A lot of good people there. UFC 216 will be held in Edmonton. Let's see what that's about here. A little bit of news. Yeah, UFC 216 will take place September 9th. Nothing scheduled for it yet. It'll be at the Rogers Place, Edmonton's Rogers Place. in Edmonton.